All right, here we go now. Post-game live, brought to you by our friends at lanceslock.com, where we have 13 plays in action, all of them kicking at 2:30 on. Is that where we're at
Yeah,
today?
well, we had one Appalachian State. We had them plus 2.5. They kicked earlier at one. They're up 21-0 right now. About a minute and 20 to go in the first half, and Utah State has already kicked. They're laying 14.5. They're up 7-0. So trending well. Early, we've got 11 plays. We've got two 230s, two threes, and the rest 6 night plays.
While we wait for Alabama to go final in Lexington, they're going to win the game. They just have to wait for Kentucky, who declined that fourth down penalty, to run out the clock. Let's jump into the biggest game in the country as far as the playoffs. No Jim Harbaugh. J.J. McCarthy and Michigan go into Happy Valley, and they get a 24-15 win. Impressive win, not impressive win for Michigan in that contest. It obviously was an emotional win for them.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, the defense played well. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting you say that, because I would have said before the game they win the game by 9 points on the road. That's probably a pretty impressive win, but it was so yucky. And
yeah,
I'm sure you saw Sharon Moore, the offensive coordinator, after the game, drop an F-bomb, and then I think he got two through the net there. Everybody loves this Michigan team, even the FCC, and I'm sure Fox now. But he, called 30 consecutive run plays to end that game. And, I said before the game, this could be J.J. McCarthy's coming out moment. I don't know if it was just, we know what we can do. We don't need McCarthy to throw it, or we don't trust him in that situation. I mean, they only threw the ball 8 times, but they ran for 227 yards. They played really good defense, and they get out with a win. The thing that comes out to me is there's a reason now James Franklin is 3-17 against top 10 teams.
It's so conservative. Again, we're waiting on Alabama to go final, so we'll talk about this game first. Penn State, so conservative all day long. They don't trust their quarterback, or he can't do it. One of the two.
Yeah, but then you go out and you chase points in the second quarter, where you can make it a 14-10 game. It's not like Michigan's not going to score again. That made no sense going for it 2 there. And then on the fourth down, and Clapp was right. It was like 4th and 6 with, I forgot how much time was left. One possession game.
It was 4:24, 4 minutes, 24 seconds.
It's 4th and 6 for the game now.
Yep.
And so they didn't get it. Next play, Corum breaks it off. They go up 2 scores. Penn State was fortunate to be able to go down there. And then I don't know why I went for 2. Like, this is a new analytical thing, because I don't know how you grew up on watching the 2-point conversion, but you want to have the opportunity at the end of the game for it to be a 1-possession game. You kick the extra point there, then it's an 8-point game, and you know exactly what you got to do. Once you didn't get it there, the game was 1,000% over.
Yeah, at that point, if it had stayed 17-9 and you score again, you've got to go for 2. 14-10 and you score and you win, or you just have to kick an extra point to tie. Just crazy decision there.
Yeah, and this is a guy that's, and he's the 11th highest paid coach in college football. He's making $9 million a year. I mean, he's done a good job at Penn State, but he's never struck me as a coach that is going to win a national championship.
For those that are wondering, Ryan's with his family today. It is Parents Weekend. He joined us in the morning from Mobile, but it is Parents Time with Anna Kate. So for those that are asking, where's Brownie? He is in Mobile being a dad, and we are a family-oriented company. So boom, he is there doing that. Michigan beats Penn State 24-15. We're down inside the final 30 seconds in Lexington and what will be an Alabama win. We'll get to that one after one more question on Michigan, and that is this, Lance. We waited for them to play a meaningful game in Penn State to find out what Michigan had. Do you really know what Michigan is yet? Other than, I mean, they're gutsy. They're playing for Jim Harbaugh. You were right about that. They were fired up to win it for Jim Harbaugh. Sharon Moore in tears afterwards, saying, "This one's for you, Jim Harbaugh." Blake Corum saying, "This is for you, Coach Harbaugh." But how good is this Michigan team against maybe later Ohio State and then in the playoffs?
Yeah, I still think it is a really good team. You go on the road, circumstances, these kids were definitely playing for Harbaugh, but at the same time, there were exterior, things going on, and there's no way you can hide from that. And for their coach to be suspended really at the 11th hour, They still, Penn State had a little success on the ground. That would be my one fear if I'm a Michigan fan, is they rush for 164 yards. And if they're able to rush for 164, what is a healthy Travion Henderson able to do with Ohio State? I still think after what I saw, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Penn State, I think Michigan is the better team. I wanted to see more from J.J. McCarthy, though. Like, I was shocked they ran the ball. And again, they got out of there, and maybe that was their game plan all along. But I want to see what he can do in a big game, big moments, 3rd and 5, game on the line, that type of thing. And we hadn't seen it yet. So, but we hadn't seen it from Kyle McCord.
Yeah. All right. In the chat room, we'll get some of your comments in here about that. And Alabama has gone final. They have won the contest at Kentucky on what was an impressive day. Here's some comments. Manda Bomb says Franklin is terrible. Agreeing with you there. NH2348, Franklin choking on big games again. What's that stat again on Franklin in big games?
He is 3-17 now against top 10s in his career at Penn State.
No, and Tesla Talk, Michigan is terrible too. We will find out about that.
How do you feel about Michigan? I still think they're the best team in college football.
Today it's how good is Penn State?
Right, and I think Penn State's pretty good. I think their defense is pretty good.
Yeah, their defense is pretty good. Their offense is so limited. I can't see their defense. Yeah. I can't see their defense. But you're right. I mean, they're definitely one of the 4 best teams in the country. And this Jim Harbaugh thing, I mean, it just adds fire to them. When you got the acting head coach in tears, Blake Corum with a, cut above his nose, blood all over his face, talking about, yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. All right.
So Clifton is saying, I believe Michigan's top 14, but I overrate them greatly. My whole point is, I don't think, and I've said this all year, I don't think there's an elite team. This Michigan team could end up being elite. I mean, hell, who knows? Maybe Georgia's elite, but Georgia still has an opportunity to lose tonight.
Yeah, and Georgia's schedule has been limited as well. So, it could be Georgia and Michigan, as a lot of people think. A lot of people saying Michigan will get exposed in the playoffs like they did last year. Well, that's when we do the playoffs. That's why it's better now than it used to be. Let's get to the Alabama game so we can all get to the 2:30 kicks coming up here in a second. Alabama was unbelievable today when it comes to a lot of key players either gutting through injuries or just making big plays. One of those was Jalen Milroe, who had a day and got that hit on the hip or on the thigh early on and got that bruise. And as everyone in here is saying, they just admired the way he gutted it out.
Yeah, look, he had a great game. I mean, 6 total touchdowns is insane. And, that was the 16-yard scamper right up the middle. And it was such an awkward thing because, helmet goes right into the thigh. And if you've ever been kneed in the thigh, you've had a helmet in the thigh, anything right there, you know how tender that spot is. And then when you saw him limping, the funny thing, or not funny, but when we talked about it this morning, we were like, damn, the Vegas total on Milroe rushing yards is only 44.5. And I think after he busted that one, he already had 30 yards. Midway through the first quarter. So it was going to fly over. And because of the injury, it's almost like Tommy Rees changed the play calling just a little bit. It didn't matter. Alabama looked fantastic offensively. I thought defense was suspect at times.
Yeah, I mean, when it got out of hand, but, making it 21-0 on that big play, on the punch on the reception, and then Caleb Downs picks it up and almost takes it in. I thought Downs had a great game. For them. Hey, Keith wants us to ask Milroe the same question every week. Would you rather have 4 rushing touchdowns or 4 passing touchdowns? He almost had both today if they hadn't have taken him out of the contest there. Talk a little bit more about that defense, because I thought the pressure was good. They got after Leary, and the Kentucky O-line's good. But a couple times it broke down, but I thought overall it was pretty good defensive effort.
Yeah, they looked like they moved the ball in certain spots. I just didn't really expect anything from Devin Leary. But I'll tell you, man, Chris Braswell, the shot that he put on Leary early, and I think Jordan Rogers said slung him like a rag doll, which he did. But, I mean, overall, that was, not probably as dominant as they were against, well, I don't know. I mean, I think the offense was just as good this week as it was, maybe even better this week than it was against LSU, because Kentucky is flat out a better defense. But that's back-to-back dominant performances from Alabama. They are absolutely peaking at the right moment.
Mandelbaum is back in. He says you motivated Milroe this week with your comments to him.
Hey, whatever way people want to go on that, if that helps motivation, Again, I think it was I was complimentary,
Yeah.
but I was the one that brought it up myself.
Riley wants to know, should they make a change from Kool-Aid returning kicks? You know, it was 21-0 LT, and we're on our way to a 50-something to nothing game probably, and Kool-Aid gives them a tough touchdown on the fumble.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem as comfortable. You know, the ball went right through the hands.
Yep.
And I don't know. And I'm not blaming you. I think it was the solar eclipse. Since that game, Kool-Aid has not been the same. He just doesn't seem as confident back there fielding the punts. And I thought he was going to be a major weapon. Now, after he fumbles, he has the one that he takes up the gut and had an opportunity to bust that one. So I still think he's got big play potential. Just got to get it out of his head.
Chris says the D is elite. He likes them. This is a discussion now. They shouldn't have played him. Blame game will erupt next week if Milroe plays next week and makes the hip injury worse. I disagree with that. I'm glad he went back in and played. I wouldn't play him against Chattanooga, though, for sure. I would say that I would give that to be the opportunity to not play Milroe. You always play your starters in that game as a Nick Saban thing, but I would use that thigh bruise as a reason to set the quarterback in this one.
Well, you know, I thought it was so interesting they brought up, because the last two games he's played like a Heisman Trophy winner. Like if Milroe would have played like that since September, he, you know, I'm not going to say he'd have it locked up, but he would be locked up to be in New York. But, you know, they brought that up, and the numbers just aren't there. It's way too inconsistent of a season. I know Heisman trophies are typically won in November. But he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in America right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, I will tell you that Blake asked the question. We got 3 minutes left in the show, and we'll get to the kicks. Blake asked the question, Georgia better pack a lunch on December 2nd. Alabama's booked now for that SEC championship game. What about if Georgia wins tonight, they're in there? Quick analysis on what you think could happen in that game. You think Alabama's got the mustard?
Well, you know, they keep talking about Brock Bowers being back already this week, and I know he's questionable for this game tonight. If I'm Kirby, I don't rush him back. I make sure he is there in Atlanta, because when you watch Alabama, they have gotten better each and every week. We still don't know what we're getting with Georgia. I feel really good that Alabama, I said it this past week, I think they're one of the top 4 teams in college football. And I think if you play that game right now with Bowers in Atlanta, Georgia's a 5-point favorite. Without Bowers, probably a field goal.
Quick reaction to some other games. Give me just quick answers here, and we'll get out of here and let everybody get to television. Brought to you by LancesLock.com. We'll try to knock out another post game tonight with EG. Will join me either after the Auburn game or later on in the evening. Tulane beats Tulsa. They didn't look good, 24-22. That team, I don't think, is the best group of 5. You?
No, I still think it's Air Force. I know that's impossible to say when you have 12 possessions last week and you turn the football over 6 times. But I think Air Force will win out, and we'll see what happens. But I agree with you. I think Texas San Antonio right now would beat Tulane by double digits.
Texas Tech over Kansas, 16-13 in that one. Kansas State is rolling over Baylor, and Colorado right now, 21-17 over Arizona as they approach the half there.
Yeah, and I saw our man Troy in the chat said he sent you a link. I was on YouTube all morning, and I was looking for that game, and I don't see Pac-12 Network on, and I haven't pulled Uzi yet.
He sent me a link?
Yeah, I think I saw in the chat room he said he sent you a link.
Oh, I'll go look and see if I can find it for you, and if I can, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, so check it out, but I haven't seen it. So
all right. That's LancesLock.com, our post game after Alabama there with the Tide look good. Chattanooga next, then Auburn, then the SEC championship. But Alabama is locked into the SEC championship. And I don't think there were a lot of people that thought the way it started back after that Texas game, if Alabama would be there. But they're back now, and they're still in the college football playoff conversation with Chattanooga and a road game at Auburn to go, and then that big day on December 2nd.
Final thing for me, I think more surprising for Alabama fans if you would have gone back, not necessarily representing the West, but the fact that Jalen Milroe right now is playing like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah, I mean, if he continues to have a big game on the road at Auburn and then against Georgia right before the Heisman votes go out, probably wouldn't win it, but may even wiggle himself into a trip to New York. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows? All right. Check back later on. Keep the alerts going. That's our post-game show. We'll see you if you don't join us again anywhere on the platform Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time. Good afternoon, everybody. Enjoy the afternoon.